One of the most common questions that I'm asked is, how do I get my partner on the same page? Or, I feel like I'm parenting alone in a marriage. How do I get, and I hate to say it, it's almost always mums. Not completely almost, but it's almost always mums saying, how do I get my husband on the same page? Every now and again, a bloke will say the same thing about his wife. Today on the Happy Families podcast, we talk about what to do when you're parenting alone in a marriage. G'day, welcome to the Happy Families podcast, real parenting solutions every day. This is Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. We are Justin and Kylie Coulson. Kylie has a little tickle in her throat. Say hi, Kylie.
Hello. So unkind.
I'm so sorry. All right. A lot of people feel like they're carrying the entire parenting burden alone. If you feel like that, you may not be imagining it. It might actually be legit. I'm not going to gaslight you on this one. I don't know what's happening in your family. But if you do feel like that, I can promise you, you're not alone. This is such a common question that I get, and it feels really unfair. Every now and again, I'll talk to a mum who'll just say, oh, my husband literally sits on his phone. That's all he does. He reads the news and he plays games. Or I spoke to one mum and she said he literally just goes into the living room and he's on devices. Like he's literally on the... He's like he thinks he's a professional gamer, but we don't earn any money from it, and he doesn't contribute around the house and he doesn't help with the kids, and it's doing my head in. It really, really sucks if you're married to a man child. Today on the pod, we essentially are going to talk about some gentle but effective ways that you can invite your partner into fuller engagement. Let's call it that, fuller engagement. Assuming that they want to be a good parent but might not know how to start. So that is right at the very core of what we're talking about. We're talking about having a husband-wife partner who does actually desire to contribute and wants to be a good husband-wife partner parent, but they're just, I don't know, they're just struggling to get it right. There are too many other distractions. There's too much else going on. So I've got a couple of ideas. Kylie, I know that you've got your favorite. We haven't even planned this. I'm just going to shoot from the hip, but I know that your favorite one is going to come up. I think that I'm kind of accounting for it in some of mine, but feel free to dive in whenever you want. I'm going to do most of the talking. Why? Because you can barely talk. Okay. This does not mean that I dominate. It does not mean that we're not on the same page. I'm just going to be your voice when you can't use your voice alone. Should I stop digging? Should we just get on with this?
Yeah, you're enjoying this way too much.
Okay. All right. The first thing that I want to emphasize is when I hear people complaining about their partner's parenting, what I want to do, and this is something that I haven't figured out how to say tenderly and gently enough to actually say it yet, is that we get in life what we focus on. So I do this experiment when I'm on stage sometimes, depending on what the topic, what the conversation is, where I get a volunteer to come out of the audience and I give them like a broom handle. It doesn't have the broom affixed, right? Just the broom handle, the stick, or a 1 meter ruler, or even you can do it with something even shorter, like a 30 centimeter ruler if you want. And I ask them to balance that stick on their fingertips and look at their fingertips while they're doing it. It's really hard. Nobody can really do it, not effectively. And if they can, it's tricky and it only lasts for a couple of seconds. And then I asked them to try again, but this time instead of looking at their fingertips while they balance this stick in their hand, I want them instead to look at the top of the stick, whether it's 30 centimeters or a meter or it's an entire broomstick. Look at the top, not the bottom. And while it's still tricky, I want to emphasize it is still tricky, they always experience far greater success looking at the top rather than at the bottom. The point that I'm making here is you get what you focus on. What you focus on in life makes a huge difference. And so when people are complaining to me that their husband, wife, partner, spouse is a lousy parent and doesn't pull their weight, something that I really want to encourage is I'm going to call it an appreciation inventory. An appreciation inventory. Gratitude. The reality is this, they're probably doing more than we realize. The other thing that I will focus on is that a lot of disengaged parents and partners have withdrawn because they feel like we're not grateful, because they feel like they're unrecognized, because they feel like we're criticizing them or calling them incompetent. And we know how important competence is in terms of basic psychological needs.
I'm going to push back on that though.
Oh, no.
Because regardless of whether that's the case or not, if you're in a partnership, then number one, you have a voice and you have an opportunity to express that. But number two, that doesn't excuse you from checking out. Like it doesn't.
So communication is critical around here. Unfortunately, whether it excuses it or not, it happens.
I actually think a lot of what goes on is that each partner feels that the weight of the load that they carry outweighs the weight of the other person's.
Oh, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. That one's coming up, I promise. Okay. So here's the practical element to the appreciation inventory. This is something that you can genuinely do starting right now, and it's incredible how quickly it works and how easily it works. Instead of sitting down and saying, we need to talk about our relationship or we need to talk about your parenting, you're not on the same page as me, spend a week just noticing and acknowledging what they are doing. So you might say something like, I love seeing you and our daughter Emma laugh together during breakfast, or thank you so much for reading that extra bedtime story to the kids last night. Well, you're smirking at me. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing because when we first got married, you were really, really good at noticing all of the things I was doing. This was before I was even a parent.
Yeah.
But you also tacked on, but next time, could you just...
Okay, so that's not part of the appreciation inventory, okay? Oh, gosh.
Lucky we're 27 years on, hey? You've learned a lot.
I've learned. I don't say that anymore, do I?
No, you don't.
I just walk in and say, I love it when I walk into a clean living room. I don't say anything about the bedroom, the kitchen, the dining room, the kids' rooms. I don't say anything about the front veranda that I had to climb over 74 things for. I just say, it just feels so good to walk into a clean living room.
I like it when the bed's made.
In terms of having a conversation around this, I've been thinking about how we can both feel more connected as parents, and I noticed that you are just really involved and really connected and really on it when it comes to Saturday sports, and I'd love to build on that. Is there anything else that you're really enjoying as a parent? Because I'd like to load it onto you as well. Obviously, I'm making light of the situation, but essentially why this works, it's called the heliotropic effect. People move towards positive energy. People move towards gratitude. People really love appreciation. They tend to be repelled by criticism. So if someone feels seen for their strengths, they're much more likely to engage with you instead of defending or withdrawing. Yes, my scripting might be a little bit contrived, but the appreciation inventory will make a difference if you're not on the same page. Just pointing out how things are going right. The second idea is that we want to collaborate. We want to invite rather than assign. Nobody likes being told what to do, but they're usually open to collaboration. If you give somebody a to-do list and just say, you're not pulling your weight, I need you to do these things, it's not going to work. But they will engage when they feel like they're a valued partner in problem solving.
It's not helpful when we treat our partner like they're the problem. And one of the best things we can do to help with this is family meetings or couple inventories. This is such a great place to sit down and get on the same page. Acknowledge the things that are working really well. Acknowledge and give gratitude for the part that they're playing in the areas that they're doing really well in.
Yeah. It's about collaboration. It's about problem solving. It's not about turning one another into adversaries.
That's exactly right.
Yep. So that means that we want to frame problems as us problems that we're going to solve together. So you don't say, you need to help more with bedtime. You're just not pulling your weight. It's way better if you can say,
it might be even good instead of saying anything, it's actually asking a question. Yeah. What are you noticing about bedtime?
How are you feeling about evenings at the moment? I've noticed that you've been pretty irritable at night, and so have I. What are you seeing?
Or the kids are really stressed, or we're not getting compliance.
Right.
What can we do together?
So there's your explore and your explain, and then what can we do together is your empower, right? What can we do together it's a problem-solving conversation. It's a collaborative conversation. It just works. Assignment feels diminishing. Collaboration feels empowering. When people help to create the solution as well, they've got more buy-in, and so it works better. After the break, the gradual invitation plus an unexpected role modeling opportunity. Okay, so we've talked about the appreciation inventory. We've talked about being collaborative. Here's the third approach, the build success slowly approach. If you jump from minimal engagement to full co-parenting, it's just going to be too much, and it's going to fizzle out and die if you go too hard and too fast.
It's kind of like starting a fitness routine.
Great example. Great example.
But one of the biggest things, it's a sense of frustration that we have in that moment. If we understand that frustration is a feeling of being stuck between effort and outcome, it's a sign that something isn't working. So we either have to shift our approach or our expectations. When we're able to recognize that, our expectation can't be that we're going to go from 0 to 100.
Exactly. Like if you have not been to the gym or done workouts or any kind of thing for, I don't know,
I'm not going to lose 10 kilos overnight, and I'm
but
definitely
if you start
not
going
to build muscles overnight either.
But if you start going to the gym and you go 5 days in a row, at the end of the first week, you're going to be a wreck. You'll be in pieces. Your body's going to be screaming at you. And you're just going to be like, this was the worst idea ever. I'm just going to sit on the couch. I'm never doing this again. So we want to start slowly. I just think practically you want to identify one area where they're showing some natural ability or some interest. They actually like being with the kids, and just invite deeper engagement there. So one really fun example could be if they enjoy making pancakes on Sunday morning with the kids, maybe they could own the whole Sunday morning routine. Maybe you could say, you do Sunday mornings so well, I want to build on that. Like, what else could we do to make Sundays beautiful and get them to take ownership of it? I know some parents who are like, you do Sundays so well, you've got Sunday, I'm going out with my friends. But that's not what we're suggesting here, because it's really about building stronger family relationships. The reason for this build success slowly idea is because success breeds success. And when someone starts to feel competent, make progress in one area of life, they're more likely to try expanding their involvement and building that up elsewhere. It just comes down to competence. So the last idea, we've got to do this really quickly because we're out of time, is I'm big on role modeling. And this one's a little bit trickier. It requires a little bit of planning and forethought, or it requires being really obvious and being quite transparent. One of the two. I prefer the transparent model, but some people do prefer being a little sneaky. Let another dad show the way. So sometimes, and this is unfair and inappropriate, but it goes like this anyway, whether it's right or not, sometimes partners need to see what engaged parenting looks like from someone who isn't their spouse. And men particularly seem to be really responsive to seeing other men model hands-on parenting without realizing that they're being taught.
The idea that we can become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with.
Well, not only that we can become, we do become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Is pretty powerful, right?
Yeah.
So if your husband hangs out with people who are just like him, and they come home and they are on their screens or they're gaming.
Or they've got that entitlement, where's my dinner? Why is the house a mess kind of thing?
Then there's going to be no shift.
And if they're the jokes that they're
whatsoever.
making at work the next day, that's a problem, right? So finding really good role models who can model the kind of fatherhood, that's a game changer.
So it's almost, it's that concept of building a village. We're building a village around our family with people who we essentially aspire to be like.
Do you know, I want to share something quite personal and a little bit hard for me to share. I work so hard. I'm writing books, I'm recording podcasts, I'm traveling. My time is so limited, and I work really hard to make sure that kids get plenty of me. But I've got a mate who runs a big business. He builds trailers, like he builds the trailers for big trucks, tipper trucks and all that kind of thing. It's a multi-million-dollar business. The guy is at work first thing in the morning. He's working with a big crew of guys. Like he works hard as well. But when I talk to him about what he's been up to, he's been camping with the kids. They're into go-karting, and so they're up and down the Queensland coast and into New South Wales regularly for all their go-karting competitions. They're out in the shed building go-karts together. He's teaching the kids how to do the mechanics and change the tires and do all that sort of stuff. Every time I talk to Chris, he inspires me to be a better parent. He inspires me to book something in with the children, spend time with them, do things that are valuable.
You forgot to add that he's about 20 years younger than you, isn't he?
No, he's only about his kids are younger than ours, but yeah, he's only a few years younger. He's such a great model of what it is to be a connected, engaged father.
So you can't use old age as a...
No, I can't. But this is the point. This is why I added it. I actually wanted to make a special mention to Chris. I'll have to mention that he's in the pod today, because I love hearing about what Chris does and what he and the kids get up to. And when dads can be involved with other dads who are talking about those kinds of things, it changes the nature of their relationships. They get more involved. Once again, though, I'm going to come back to appreciation. He is probably doing stuff. I hope he's doing stuff. Let's acknowledge the stuff that he is doing and try and build on it. Go with slow success. The reality is, I actually think most parents really do want to be good parents. Sometimes they just need an invitation, they need some appreciation, or they need a pathway that doesn't feel overwhelming. They don't need judgment and criticism. They need modeling and they need collaboration. And hopefully these ideas, these gentle approaches, can create much bigger transformations than the confrontational, you need to pull up your socks buddy approach. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Mim Hammonds provides all of our admin and other support. If you'd like more information about making your family happier, you'll find info and resources at happyfamilies.com.au.